In the deserts and mountains of ancient Persia, long before the rise of mighty empires and world religions, a lone prophet walked with a vision. His name was Zoroaster, or Zarathustra, and the message he carried would echo across centuries, shaping kings, inspiring empires, and leaving its mark on faiths that followed. Today, we journey back to uncover the origin of Zoroastrianism, one of the world's oldest revealed religions, and a tradition that once thrived as the spiritual backbone of Persia. This is the story of light and darkness, of good and evil, and of one man's search for divine truth. Chapter 1. The World Before Zoroaster. To understand Zoroastrianism, we must first imagine the world before it began. Around 1800 to 1200 BCE, the Iranian plateau was home to Indo-Iranian tribes. These nomadic peoples worshipped many deities, spirits of nature, fire, sky, water, and earth. Their beliefs were preserved through chants and hymns, rituals involving animal sacrifice, and a worldview centered on maintaining cosmic order. This religious landscape was polytheistic and ritual-heavy, resembling the Vedic traditions of ancient India, with which it shared a common ancestry. Gods were numerous, and spirits were feared. Life was unpredictable, threatened by drought, disease, and conflict. People sought protection by offering sacrifices to appease the gods. It was in this complex spiritual world that a figure named Zoroaster would rise, challenging the traditions of his people. Chapter 2. The Early Life of Zoroaster. The exact details of Zoroaster's life remain mysterious, wrapped in myth and limited historical evidence. Scholars debate when he lived. Some place him as early as 1800 BCE, others as late as 600 BCE. What most agree on is that he lived somewhere in northeastern Iran or Central Asia. According to tradition, Zoroaster was born into a priestly family. From a young age, he was immersed in the religious practices of his time, sacrifices, prayers, and rituals to multiple gods. Yet even as a child, he showed signs of questioning the world around him. Legends describe him as a thoughtful boy, concerned with truth and justice. By the age of 30, he experienced a revelation that would change the course of history. Chapter 3. The Divine Revelation. The turning point in Zoroaster's life came near a river, where he sought purification through ritual. It was here, according to tradition, that he encountered a vision, an encounter with a radiant being known as Vohu Mana, meaning good mind. This celestial figure led Zoroaster into the presence of Ahura Mazda, the wise lord, who revealed himself as the one supreme god, the source of truth, light, and order. Ahura Mazda was surrounded by 6 holy beings, known as the Amesha Spentas, who embodied aspects of his divine creation: truth, good mind, devotion, immortality, and wholeness. In this moment, Zoroaster realized that the many gods of his people were not equal powers. Instead, there was only one supreme being, Ahura Mazda. Opposing him was Angra Mainyu, the destructive spirit of lies and chaos. This vision revealed a profound truth. The universe was a battleground between good and evil, light and darkness, and every human being had a role to play in this cosmic struggle. Chapter 4. The Core Teachings of Zoroastrianism. Zoroaster's teachings were revolutionary for his time. At their heart was the belief in monotheism, that Ahura Mazda is the supreme god, eternal and all good. But unlike later strict monotheistic traditions, Zoroastrianism also acknowledged the ongoing dualism between good and evil. The key principles can be summarized as follows. The cosmic struggle. The world is a battlefield between Asha, truth, order, and Druj, falsehood, chaos. Humans must choose which side they stand on. Free will. Every person has the freedom to choose between good and evil. Unlike religions that emphasized fate, Zoroaster taught responsibility for one's choices. Ethical life. True worship of Ahura Mazda comes not through endless sacrifices, but through righteous living. This is summed up in the famous Zoroastrian motto, good thoughts, good words, good deeds. Afterlife. Zoroastrianism introduced concepts of judgment after death. Souls would cross the Chinvat Bridge, where their deeds were weighed. The righteous would pass into the house of song, paradise, while the wicked would fall into darkness. Final victory. Ultimately, Ahura Mazda will triumph, evil will be destroyed, and creation will be renewed in a final act of purification. These ideas made Zoroastrianism one of the earliest religions to articulate a clear moral dualism, a final judgment, heaven and hell, and a coming savior figure, all themes that would later influence Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Chapter 5. Zoroaster's Struggles and First Followers. Like many prophets, Zoroaster's message was not welcomed easily. When he began preaching that sacrifices to old gods were unnecessary and that priests should abandon rituals of violence, he faced resistance. The religious establishment, whose power depended on these traditions, opposed him fiercely. For years, Zoroaster struggled to find followers. His words challenged deeply ingrained practices and threatened the power of local elites. Yet he continued, driven by his vision. Finally, Zoroaster found support in King Vishtaspa, a local ruler. The king, impressed by his teachings, converted and made Zoroastrianism the state religion of his kingdom. This marked the turning point. The faith began to spread beyond small circles, reaching royal courts and eventually the Persian Empire itself. Chapter 6. Zoroastrianism and the Persian Empire. The true rise of Zoroastrianism came with the great Persian empires. When the Achaemenid dynasty emerged under Cyrus the Great in the 6th century BCE, Zoroastrian ideas were already widespread. While scholars debate the exact extent of Zoroastrian practice under Cyrus, his successors, Darius the Great and Xerxes, openly promoted the worship of Ahura Mazda. In inscriptions, kings declared their authority as granted by the wise Lord. They emphasized truth, justice, and the order of the cosmos, reflecting Zoroastrian values. Zoroastrianism became deeply woven into Persian governance. Fire temples were built, sacred flames were maintained as symbols of purity, and priests known as magi became influential figures. At its height, Zoroastrianism was not just a personal faith, it was the spiritual backbone of an empire stretching from Greece to India. Chapter 7. Rituals, Symbols, and Sacred Fire. One of the most striking aspects of Zoroastrian practice was its emphasis on fire. Fire, seen as the purest element, symbolized the divine light of Ahura Mazda. Temples housed ever-burning flames, tended by priests, representing eternal truth. Ritual purity was central. Followers observed strict codes of cleanliness, seeing the world as a battleground where even physical purity mattered. Water and fire were especially sacred. The sacred texts of Zoroastrianism, the Avesta, preserved hymns attributed to Zoroaster himself, known as the Gathas. These verses revealed his vision, his dialogues with Ahura Mazda, and his ethical teachings. Chapter 8. Influence on other religions. Although Zoroastrianism is less known today, its impact on world religions is profound. Scholars note that several core ideas found in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam may have Zoroastrian roots. Heaven and hell, a clear division of reward and punishment after death. Final judgment, a day when all souls are judged. Savior figure, the idea of a messianic redeemer who will bring final victory. Angels and demons, spiritual beings serving either the side of light or darkness. Dualism of good versus evil, the eternal conflict reflected in later apocalyptic traditions. When Jews lived in exile under Persian rule in Babylon, they encountered Zoroastrian ideas, which likely shaped parts of Jewish eschatology. Later, Christianity and Islam inherited these concepts. Chapter 9. Decline of Zoroastrianism. Despite its once vast influence, Zoroastrianism eventually declined. The fall began after Alexander the Great conquered Persia in 330 BCE. Temples were destroyed, texts lost, and Greek culture spread. The faith revived under the Parthians, and especially the Sasanian Empire, 224-651 CE, where it again became state religion. But the greatest challenge came with the rise of Islam. After the Arab conquest of Persia in the 7th century CE, many Zoroastrians converted to Islam, either by choice or necessity. Communities shrank and persecution followed, yet the faith did not vanish. Some followers fled to India, where they became known as the Parsis. To this day, Zoroastrian communities survive in India and Iran, keeping alive one of humanity's oldest faiths. Chapter 10. Legacy of Zoroaster. The legacy of Zoroaster is immense. His teachings introduced ethical monotheism centuries before it became mainstream. His vision of a moral universe, where humans have responsibility, where justice triumphs, and where truth must be chosen, continues to inspire. Even though Zoroastrianism is now a minority faith, with fewer than 200,000 followers worldwide, its historical influence is undeniable. Every time we speak of heaven and hell, of judgment, of good versus evil, we echo themes that Zoroaster first proclaimed. Conclusion. The story of Zoroastrianism is not just about an ancient religion. It is about the courage of one man who looked at his world, questioned its traditions, and dared to believe in something greater. That truth exists, that goodness matters, and that every human choice shapes the destiny of the universe. From the hymns of Zoroaster to the halls of Persian kings, from the fire temples of Iran to the Parsi communities of India, the flame of Zoroastrianism still burns, reminding us that even in the oldest of faiths, the struggle between light and darkness continues. So the next time you hear of heaven and hell, of good and evil, or of a savior to come, remember the story of Zoroaster, the prophet of ancient Persia, whose vision helped shape the spiritual heritage of the world.